Section of Nyeri County residents have lauded the nomination of 4 key political leaders into government by President William Ruto. Is President Ruto's latest appointments a political calculation to appease the restive Mount Kenya region following the ouster of Rigathi Gachagua, or is it building new political networks, largely from former President Uhuru Kenyatta's base? NTV's Duncan Hyemba starts us off tonight.
In Nyeri town, the headquarters of Nyeri County, a jubilant section of residents took to the streets in celebrating the nomination of former Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe into cabinet by President William Ruto on Thursday evening. They say Kagwe's nomination is timely, owing to the challenges the head of state is currently grappling with in his administration.
Tuko na furaha sana kwa vile president wetu William Samuel Ruto amepea Honorable Mutahi Kagwe kazi ya CS wa agriculture. Tuko na furaha sana kwa sababu kama vile tunajua Mutahi Kagwe ni mwanaume mtendakazi, ni kiongozi mtendakazi.
I urge all Kenyans from Nyeri, everywhere in the country, to support Mutahi Kagwe. He has been given the most important docket, agriculture. We know Nyeri, the backbone of Nyeri is agriculture.
Besides Kagwe, the president has nominated former governors William Kabogo, Lee Kinyanjui as cabinet secretaries and appointed Nderito Mureithi as chairman of Kenya Revenue Authority. According to Dr. Kamau Wairuri, a policy analyst, latest developments are attributed to the recent meeting between President Ruto and former President Uhuru Kenyatta in Ishaweri village, Gatundu South.
I think it tells us that probably the president did not expect the kind of outcome or impact that this ouster had, and he's now trying to regain some credibility and some ground within Mount Kenya.
There is also the issue of building new political networks after severing ties with his first deputy Rigathi Gachagua, who was removed from office through impeachment. Some of President Ruto's die-hard supporters, like Kiharu Member of Parliament Samson Ndindi Nyoro, Cabinet Secretary Alice Wahome, Nakuru Governor Susan Kihika, Naivasha MP Jane Kihara, vanished from the political scene in the run-up to Gachagua's ouster, while few MPs who supported the bid are facing hostilities in the grassroots, hence the need to craft new political networks.
He's now starting to rebuild his support with the 18% that was on the Azimio side, because at least that is easier by just bringing in Uhuru Kenyatta. You bring in that Azimio wing. And of course, he still has control of the parliamentarians and many of the politicians from the region. So the credibility and the support he needed is coming from Uhuru, because he's basically lost the voters.
Kamau believes, being a shrewd and seasoned politician, President Ruto's political cards have more than what meets the eye.
I would see it from 2 angles. I think this is a strategy that is aimed to, like a double-edged sword that's going to cut 2 sides. On the one hand, I think the logic for this Uhuru nominees, if we can call them that, and I think we can, is to checkmate the people in the region who have been seen as the most ardent supporters of William Ruto and as the biggest, voices of the government in Mount Kenya. So if you see Kiambu, for instance, Kabogo can countercheck Kimani Ichung'wah. Mutahi Kagwe, of course, is aimed at neutering the influence of Rigiji in Nyeri, and Lee, of course, countering Susan Kihika in Nakuru. So that's one angle to it. I think the angle as to whether this man can counter Rigathi's influence, I think the person who's going after Rigathi's influence is actually Uhuru Kenyatta himself, right? So these people, what they're going to be doing is basically trying to build the legitimacy of the government in the region, to be honest, they're going to struggle. Rigathi is quite popular at the moment. But the reality is that 3 years is also a very long time. And without the perks of being in high office and resources, Rigathi might struggle to sustain that support base that he has.
However, to some, the rate at which President Ruto is reshuffling his administration could be a pointer that the kitchen is getting hotter and hotter by the day.
Well, I think we can go back to the argument we usually make, which is to say that personnel is policy, especially when it comes to government. The people you appoint really make an impact and determine whether you're going to achieve any objectives that you have or not, right? What we saw with William Ruto's early cabinet appointments, and for a long time, we haven't seen so many cabinet changes happening so fast. He seemed to have been going for just the wrong kind of people for, like crucial dockets and crucial ministries. I think the argument that Raila Odinga was making, that, look, we are offering experts to the government, kind of gains a bit of credence when you look at the caliber of people that both Raila and Uhuru are bringing to cabinet. Of course, there can be many questions about integrity and ethics that can be raised and can be canvassed about some of the individuals that have been nominated. But by and large, these are seasoned leaders who understand the realities of politics and government and will be able to listen to the issues that are coming up from the citizens and find ways of addressing them.
Mutahi Kagwe, who was instrumental during the COVID-19 pandemic, has been thrust into the agriculture livestock portfolio at a time a section of Kenyans are up against the government's campaign for a nationwide livestock vaccination. Duncan Hemba, NTV.